Okay, it's time for that Sonic Unleashed review I promised in that Sonic Heroes playthrough that nobody watched. The story in a nutshell is as follows. Eggman blows up the world. Well, that was a short game. Oh wait, sorry, there's more. Eggman breaks the world into 7 pieces, releasing a creature called Dark Gaia, an evil creature of darkness whose evil deeds include making people disco dance against their will and turning Sonic into a creature that I'm just going to call Fluffy Sonic. This means that it's up to Sonic, Tails, Amy, and newcomer Chip to put the world back together by bringing the Chaos Emeralds to 7 Gaia temples scattered across the globe. Okay, just Sonic and Chip. Tails and Amy really don't do all that much, but I'm glad we don't have to play as Amy. Think of Chip as a small, fluffy Jason Bourne. He has no memory of who he is, so Sonic agrees to help him find out as they race to save the world. He also provides most of the comic relief in the game by talking about food. It gets old very quickly. So, ancient prophecies, doing 7 of the same thing with the 7 Chaos Emeralds, this story reeks of arse because it was no doubt pulled from one. Why repurpose the Chaos Emeralds every time you can't think of a good story? Why are there only 3 returning characters? I suspect this was because when developing the game, Sonic Team took a fan survey asking what people did and didn't want in a Sonic game. As a result, they got rid of most of the characters because a lot of people complained about them, and they incorporated the boost mechanic from Sonic Rush. Which is great, because I personally thought boosting was the only good thing about that game. What I want to know, though, is who the hell asked for this? Now for the gameplay. The stages are split into day and night stages. For every 5 to 10 minute supersonic daytime stage, we have a half-hour slow-paced, combat-based fluffy Sonic stage. Because God forbid that we should have too much high-speed platforming in a Sonic game. Let me start with the nighttime stages. When playing as Fluffy Sonic, you have to fight generic enemies in order to get to the end of the stage. On the one hand, the puzzles are boring, the platforming is total arse, and the stages are too long. On the other hand, the combat system is pretty good, and I like being able to spend my EXP at any time. One thing I found was that although you use the X button to attack, if you use the Y button instead, you get a long-range punch that works much better. There's also a combination which I think is something like XXAA that makes you perform a shield-breaking uppercut. These little things are going to make your experience a lot less painful. The combat only gets easier as you level up your attributes, and it's rather satisfying to revisit areas where you faced some strong enemies before and wiped the floor with them. What does get harder is the platforming, which is mainly achieved by using Fluffy Sonic's stretchy arms. Wait, what? I don't know, maybe it's some weird reference to Rystar. So, you use Fluffy Sonic's stretchy arms to grab ledges, however you can only grab specific ledges indicated by a targeting system. I don't really understand this. It's Sonic the Hedgehog, not the Terminator. Well, perhaps the Furminator might be a bit more appropriate. So, what about the daytime stages? Oh my god, this is more like it. The daytime stages where you play as regular Sonic are much, much better. The boost works amazingly well in 3D, the quick step allows you to dash from side to side while moving at high speed, and there's even a speedometer that occasionally pops up, which I like to think of as some sort of high-tech watch that Tails invented that Sonic's wearing on his wrist. One could argue that the targeting system suggests that he might be wearing a scouter from Dragon Ball Z, but come on guys, he blatantly isn't. The daytime stages aren't that bad, but there are a few problems. First of all, they're riddled with QuickTime events. In fact, the whole game is riddled with QuickTime events, including in the boss fights, and a mini-game where you fly with Tails in the tornado that consists entirely of QuickTime events. I don't really know how other people feel about them, but personally, I don't care for them. Here's another thing I don't like about the game as a whole. What do you mean I don't have enough medals to play this stage? Yeah, throughout the stages and hub worlds you'll find sun and moon medals. As you progress through the game, you need more and more medals just to play the bloody stage. That's a terrible way of padding out game time. Why not just have me collect a large number of medals to unlock a final boss? Here's another thing. I've never played a 3D Sonic game and thought, do you know what this needs? For Sonic's movement to be sporadically restricted to one plane. Yep. But someone must have asked for it, because this quote-unquote 2.5D perspective crops up quite a bit in the daytime stages. It worked well in Nights into Dreams, but that's because Knights could fly. I feel like this might be an attempt to cash in on nostalgia for 2D Sonic fans, but wouldn't it be a lot less effort just to, I don't know, make another 2D Sonic game? For 3D Sonic fans, make of this what you will, the homing attack is no longer on the jump button. I personally hate this change because they also introduce an air dash move on the same button, meaning you can go to homing attack an enemy and Sonic will do an air dash, sending you in the complete wrong direction, usually over a bottomless pit. They should have just left the homing attack on the jump button, especially since Daytime Sonic doesn't have a double jump. So what else do I like about this game? Well, first of all, some of the music is awesome. My favourite stage theme is the Rooftop Run with its fast pace and strings. Endless Possibility is easily one of my favourite Sonic themes of all time, though that might just be because I'm a massive Bowling for Soup fan. Yeah, that's probably it. Let's face it, Jarrett Riddick could have farted down the microphone and I'd still say it was a musical masterpiece. I am disappointed that the cinematic that accompanies the song is just recycled gameplay and cutscene footage. It just comes off as lazy. At least have a mixture of cutscene footage and specially made cinematics like in Sonic Heroes. There is one piece of music that annoys the hell out of me, but if you've played the game, I'm sure you can guess which one. The Batman theme would have been less inappropriate than this. Now here's something I never thought I'd be saying about a Sonic game. The hub worlds are interesting. No, seriously. I've never been a fan of hub worlds in Sonic games. The ones in Sonic Adventure were just about tolerable, and the ones in Sonic 06 were just plain shit. But some real effort has been put in here. No two NPCs look the same, and each one has something different to say after each major cutscene. There are even little subplots going on in the game, such as a painfully shy travelling salesman who's into ventriloquism, and a little girl who's constantly running errands for her grandmother. Perhaps Fluffy Sonic should just go and eat her like in Little Red Riding Hood. Hey, just a thought. We were all thinking it, I just said it. You also have these hot dog vendors that won't sell to you unless you complete missions for them. Yes, I'm talking about you fat bastard. Take that. One NPC is Otto, the elderly university dorm master who you can ask for help. Unlike most NPCs of this nature in most games, this guy is actually helpful. You just talk to him and he tells you exactly where to go. I also like this guy with a big nose, he reminds me a lot of myself. Some people may disagree with me, but I actually like the art style of this game. It's quite cartoony, but that's appropriate for a Sonic game. The visual quality on the whole is fantastic. If there's anything positive I would say about this game, is that it's nice to look at, and I dare say that this is what every Sonic game should look like. Now we come to the summary. Overall enjoyment-wise, I give this game a 59. I like the soundtrack, art direction and high-speed platforming, but it loses a hell of a lot of points for having a lazily thrown together story, poorly thought out controls, and far too many QTEs. Plus those godforsaken medals. I consider story a very important part of any game, and this one didn't really do it for me. Between this game and Sonic 06, Unleashed is definitely the better game, but 06 had a much more ambitious story, and for that I applaud it. For that reason, Mike and I will be doing a Sonic 06 playthrough to spare you lovely people the agony of actually playing Sonic 06 yourselves. As for this game though, if you like high-speed action, and let's face it, who doesn't, then this game should go down rather well. Would I play it again? I suspect I will, but before that, I'm going to revisit this stage a few times. That's it for this review. Ciao for now.